Welcome once again to Real Shame, a show where the two of us talk about movies that we have not seen before, and we are watching.
That's right.
And we are discussing. My name's Andy.
And I'm Adam.
This week we're doing a couple of movies from my list of shame
That's
to
right.
talk about the first movie this week. I'll toss it over to Adam.
All right. When an expedition ends in disaster, a new team is assembled to find out what went wrong in the African Congo.
You excited, sweetheart? That's a camera. Be careful. It's expensive.
I think she's got a real eye. Karen Ross. Professor Karen Ross?
Professor Peter Elliott.
Doctor? Have you gotten my faxes, FedExes, and phone calls?
I'm sorry. You're the one.
Yes, I'm the one.
We've been putting together a rather hasty expedition.
To the Congo, the talking gorilla.
Jungle.
That's right, the jungle.
Jungle.
Just a minute.
Tickle Amy.
I'm sorry, I
I
haven't had
need
a
to
chance.
join up with you.
I'm afraid that's impossible.
Congo is a 1995 movie. I feel like the 90s were the year of Michael Crichton and adaptations of Michael Crichton's work. He's been around for a while, and he's done some movies. There's been movie adaptations of his work across the decades, and that might be a little bit of a hint to what we're going to follow this movie with. Crichton's novel, also called Congo, came out in 1980, so 15 years before this movie came out. This is written by John Patrick Shanley and directed by Frank Marshall. Those names should be familiar to you guys because Shanley directed and wrote some movies that we've talked about before. We did Moonstruck for the podcast, or for the show, and you saw Wild Mountain Thyme shortly thereafter, right? I feel like you did.
Did I?
I feel like you did. Maybe you did.
Maybe I've slept since then.
He also did Alive and Joe versus Volcano. Frank Marshall, I think, is more known for producing than he is directing, but he has directed a few movies. He directed Arachnophobia, which I remember pretty good. I remember it being pretty good.
Yes.
Alive also, and Eight Below. Congo stars Laura Linney as Dr. Karen Ross. We have Dylan Walsh as Peter Elliott. We have Ernie Hudson in here as Captain Morone Kelly. Great Ernie Hudson performance. Tim Curry as or however he says it with his strange and unusual accent.
Yeah.
We have Ernie Hudson. I have him in twice. Tim Curry. We have Grant Helsery as Richard. Almost a blink if you miss it. Bruce Campbell in here as Charles Travis. We got also Delroy Lindo as Captain Wana, and a cameo by the one, the only Cheeseburgers in Paradise himself, Jimmy Buffett, as a jet pilot, basically, for the jet transport.
I missed him. I didn't know to look for him.
I did. I also did. That's IMDb trivia for you right there.
Yeah.
Congo's a movie I've seen a handful of times. I believe I've probably seen it all the way through, maybe once or twice. Including this watch, so it's a movie that I've seen bits and pieces of. You know, it's one of those always on cable kind of movie, but it's a movie you've never seen before.
Weirdly enough, yeah.
Have you read? So I'm going to ask you and pass it over to you what you thought. But before that, have you read any of Michael Crichton's novels?
I have, but not Congo.
Okay.
I read Jurassic Park.
I did too.
I read The Lost World. I read Prey.
Okay.
I read Timeline, and I think that's about where it stops.
All right.
I think I read those 4.
I know we've watched Timeline together recently, and that movie was kind of atrocious, but kind of fun.
Yeah, it's okay for what it is.
So what'd you know about Congo before you dove in and watched it?
I remember this movie coming out. I didn't remember like who was in it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised by that. For some reason, I thought it had a different cast than it actually ended up having. Well, Dylan Walsh, I know he's been in some other movies, but I mainly know him from Nip Tuck.
Yeah, same here.
And obviously, Laura Linney and the others I know a little bit more than Dylan Walsh, but I feel like I haven't seen Dylan Walsh in hardly anything. But I think I maybe thought it was like Dylan McDermott or somebody that was in it instead. They're both named Dylan.
Yeah.
What's going on with that? But no, never read Congo. Didn't really know what the plot of it was. And I don't even know why I didn't end up seeing this back in 1995, because I saw the I think I worked at the video store when this came
Yeah.
out, and I would see it on the shelves all the time, and I just never bothered to take it home with me and watch it. So yeah, I'm finally getting around to it.
What are your thoughts on Congo?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just overall it's really silly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's really really kind of hokey and silly. You're right. Tim Curry's accent is ridiculous, but I think that it's meant to be.
Yeah,
I mean,
think so.
I think I don't think this movie's meant to be taken very seriously, and I think if
Yeah.
you don't take it, if you do take it seriously, I think you're in for a bad time
Yeah.
because this movie is really silly. But I think if you don't take it seriously, which I do not think that you're meant to, I think that you actually can have some fun with it, and I think overall I actually did have some fun with it. I there's a lot going on as far as like there's this expedition and then they're going to send another expedition
Yeah.
and then you've also got Tim Curry that wants to do this and then you've also got these guys with a talking gorilla that wants to do this and they all kind of throw that all together, so maybe there's a bit too much going
Yeah,
on.
it's a little kitchen sink action.
Yeah, they do have a little kitchen sink action going on. And then also it never built to kind of the rousing, exciting climax that I wanted it to. I
Yeah.
thought it was kind of a letdown, but I still thought overall the movie was dumb fun.
Yeah.
I guess is the best way to put it. And that sounds weird because I would describe Michael Crichton as anything but dumb.
Yeah,
he was
he's-
an extremely smart guy. Went to medical school for a while. I mean, just like super, super smart. So I'm not saying Michael Crichton was dumb. I'm just saying what wound up
Frank
on the
Marshall.
screen. What wound up on the screen is kind of dumb. But again, and I'm also not saying people that like it are dumb or anything like that. So don't get me wrong. I'm just saying overall it's just kind of silly, dumb. But I still thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And so overall, I mean, it was okay, for what it was. I found myself entertained by it.
Yeah.
I wasn't really looking at my watch going like, hurry up or anything like that. I do love me some Ernie Hudson. I do love me some Delroy Lindo. And I don't think you have him listed there, but Joey Pantoliano.
Oh,
Joe
yeah. I
Pantoliano
love Joey
has a
Pantoliano.
very, very small role as well.
Yeah.
I
love
thought it was
Joey
cool seeing him. And, overall, I enjoyed it.
And he has hair, I believe, right?
I can't remember.
Yeah, or is it someone else we watched it?
He's got such a small role. I don't
Yeah,
remember exactly whether or not he had hair or not. And I was frankly quite surprised because maybe they show it in the opening credits, but I didn't see it. But maybe I did see it in the opening credits. But when I saw that the screenplay was by John Patrick Shanley, I was like, "That's an odd."
Moonstruck, Congo.
Yeah, that's such an odd choice. I think that's really funny.
Did you did the January Man too, right?
Yes, which is horrible.
Which we also did. So I mean, this
Yeah.
is in between Moonstruck and
just-
January Man
right.
Congo.
It's kind of in between. But I would say overall, I had fun with it. I think if you go into it expecting something like really serious and, maybe like, I'm trying to think, well, the movie we're going to talk about Wednesday, much more serious, I feel. If you go in expecting, although you don't know what we're going to talk about on Wednesday, if you go in expecting that sort of thing, you're probably going to be let down. But I thought overall, it's kind of fun.
Yeah. If you want Jurassic Park, this is not the movie for you.
No, it can't hold a candle to Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But so you said you've seen it a few times before,
Yeah.
maybe once or twice all the way through, but other
Yeah.
times bits and pieces. Did you like it before when you saw it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think it's just dumb fun. It's just one of those
Yeah.
movies like we watched the Anaconda series together not too long
Yeah.
ago.
Right.
It's just one of those movies you just put on and or like The Species, where you just kind of watch it and you just have fun with the movie and you don't really take it too seriously. I do wonder, like, these kind of movies, if they tried out to make a very serious movie and then in editing they realize that's not what they got and they try to edit it to be sillier, because I don't know. I'm curious. I don't know if Frank Marshall really set out to make this kind of we're laughing with you kind of movie because your movie's so bad.
Yeah, I can't. I don't, that's a good question. I'm not really sure either. Obviously, I'm pretty sure Tim Curry knew he was hamming it up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a smart enough and good enough actor that I'm sure he was deliberately aware of what he was doing.
Maybe they were doing like so many script changes and stuff. He just knew this movie was going to be atrocious and just figured he would just do anything he can just to have fun with it or whatever.
I also felt like Ernie Hudson kind of sort of tried to have some sort of
Well, he's
British
like
kind
over
of
the top.
accent.
Well, I think it's supposed to be South
Some,
African.
maybe, but
Yeah.
it did not stick around very much. Like most of the time, he just sounded like Ernie Hudson.
Yeah.
I did also think I put in my notes. I thought it was funny. I mean, I know they're trying to take the talking gorilla Amy back to where she can be with other gorillas and whatnot. And they've taught her to communicate with this kind of, but most of the time I felt like she just does this.
Yeah.
And it's obviously it's a person in a suit or whatever, but most of the time she just does it. It's like this means everything in sign language.
Yeah.
Like Amy wants cheeseburger. Amy wants to go fly in plane.
Yeah.
Amy ruminating about the existence of life on Earth and all of the people in it. I'm like, how many things can you say with just this? Like
Yeah.
she just kept doing that. But again, for me that was part of the fun.
Yeah.
Because like as I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, Amy want this. Amy, I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. But,
Yeah, I mean this is something you don't get very much anymore because they are actually people in gorilla suits and the like, and with like the new Planet of the Apes and stuff, you get more lifelike gorillas, and they're all computer generated. So
Yeah.
there, and we say this all the time, and we'll keep on saying it. There's something quaint and
Yes.
wonderful about not having computers that could do a whole lot. Like obviously Jurassic Park came out around this time. I think before this, a year before this,
it.
and they obviously set the world on fire with what they were able to do with making those dinosaurs. But there's something quaint about the limited resources and how they can make it, and all the stuff that was coming out of Stan Winston's studio. So I think this movie's a lot of stupid fun. You have a lot of fun watching it. I do agree with you that there is a little bit of kitchen sink in it where it's just and this and this and this. I think that's the problem with adapting novels, is that to fill out 600 pages, you got a lot of story, and it's where do you make those cuts and all that along the way. And this movie's not entirely successful with that. I do think it's really anticlimactic that the apes just the fire lava comes up, magma or whatever it is. I don't know what the exact term is of flowing fire. I think they call it magma, of flowing lava. And the apes just basically jump to their deaths. It's like, okay, that happened. And then you'll see that again in the new Jurassic World movie, I guess.
I was cracking up while all that was going on. And when she has like the diamond laser gun, it's just like cutting them in half. I was having a rousing good time then. I was laughing.
And I thought the fight scenes between the man and the ape were really, really terrible. I think I read in the trivia that there was a lot of lack of movement on the side of those gray apes. And so I'm sure they had to cut around a lot to make it exciting. But it looked very like blurry and looked very terrible, honestly.
Yeah.
Not great. But some of the things I like in this movie that are fun to watch is obviously Tim Curry hamming it up. Amy's backpack with all the computers for her speaking is a No Fear backpack, a plaid No Fear backpack. And I remember No Fear and plaid in the No Fear plaid stuff in the 90s were a big thing. Yeah. Like, so that's fun to see that and hear and all that. So it's just a lot of fun. And even like Ernie Hudson, according to the trivia, had a lot of fun playing his role as Captain Monroe Kelly. They say it's his personal favorite from his career. So
even more than Ghostbusters.
Even more than Ghostbusters. Maybe because he wasn't a doctor in the Ghostbusters, and he kind of has some hatred towards that.
Huh.
But yeah, it's just dumb and fun. I think we talk about this at times too. I think this would be ripe for a more serious remake. Now I know a lot of us bemoan super serious remakes or super serious adaptations of things, but I feel like a more straightforward, probably closer to the source material adaptation of this movie would be interesting, and there's room for it. I believe. Yeah. So I believe this would be a good candidate for that.
Yeah, I do not disagree with that. Yeah, you mentioned Jurassic Park. That came out in '93, and that was such a massive hit. Obviously, as you said, and we're going to talk about on Wednesday, another movie. Again, don't want to spoil it, but another movie that's also follows, some of the same people involved in this, or,
Yeah.
or whatnot. But after Jurassic Park came out, that was such a massive hit. It's like, let's go out and since it was written in 1980, they're like, let's grab what has not already been adapted from Michael Crichton that he's written thus far, and put it out, because you had Congo. I think a year after this was Sphere.
98 was Sphere, I think.
Yeah, and then obviously The Lost World, the Jurassic Park sequel, came out also in the 90s.
Yeah,
and
Timeline in the early 2000s.
Early 2000s. I don't know that Prey has ever been adapted.
I don't think so. Virus has been adapted as one is.
Okay, yeah. So it's like this Michael Crichton guy, he writes some good stuff.
I actually owned at one point the novelization of Congo. Never read it, but I did own it for a bit.
Nice.
So, because I was obsessed with Jurassic Park, obviously got the book, read the book, wanted to dig more into Michael Crichton's work and all that, and just never did.
Yeah, and I always say, had they adapted Jurassic Park and put everything from the book into the movie, it would be rated R.
Yeah,
it's much more violent and not so kid friendly, family friendly as the Spielberg movie that came out. But the Spielberg movie is obviously great. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we know we fall on it, just kind of dumb fun, but there's room for those kind of movies. Where are the critics on this bad boy?
The critics did not have any kind of fun with it, dumb or otherwise.
They were probably expecting another Jurassic Park.
It is, yeah, I think so. I think that's probably true. It's 20% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. That's one of the lower scores that we've seen, right?
I believe so, yeah.
29% audience, so it doesn't fare much better from the audience. Siskel gave it thumbs down. Roger Ebert gave it thumbs up. He had dumb fun with it. He even, kind of talks about it in the review, because I watched the YouTube, somebody uploaded it to YouTube or whatever. I watched the review of this, and he's like, talking about how he had fun with it. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Roger had the right idea, I feel like. Leonard Maltin, 2 stars.
Of course.
Didn't have fun with it.
All right. Well, that is Congo. Check it out if you haven't done fun. I don't think we spoiled much with it. Oh, we kind of talked about the ending, but if you want to see some cool diamond lasers, like James Bond-esque kind of stuff, there you go.
You could do way worse.
Yes, for sure. And we have done way worse.
Yes.
On these Monday episodes, we always like to talk about what we've been watching. Andy, I'm going to toss it over to you. What have you seen lately? Anything good?
Watching? Yes. Okay. So, I don't know. I don't know about good.
I don't know about good.
I finally got around to watching Cyrano on Amazon Prime.
Okay,
Video.
that's the one with Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage and Haley Bennett, I think is maybe her name.
And we've seen like Cyrano adapted many times before, including like Roxanne with.
Yeah, well, so I think that's the only adaptation that I've ever seen of Cyrano de Bergerac. I've never seen like a an actual literal adaptation of it. Roxanne is obviously a modernized adaptation of it. But I like Roxanne. Okay, with Steve Martin, it's pretty funny. This is, and I didn't realize this. I guess whenever I saw the trailer for it, it's musical.
Oh,
so there's songs in it. Yeah, it is a musical.
Okay.
Yeah. So
surprise musical.
It was a surprise to me. The songs in it just aren't very memorable. Honestly, I think that it's. Peter Dinklage is always great, so he's good, and everybody does a good job. It's not like I disliked any of the acting or anything like that, and it's handsomely made and produced, and it's not a good looking film because it's kind of dreary. It's kind of dreary France. And it almost has like a Les Miserables kind of feel to it, kind of like dingy, dirty kind of thing. But just overall, the songs were so unmemorable to me. I never really could get into it, honestly. It's not a complete disaster or anything like that, because the performances are just fine. And I guess if you like the novel or whatever, if you like the source material, then maybe you'll have better enjoyment than I did. Mm-hmm. But I found it kind of lackluster, honestly. Just lackluster songs, and I believe the songs. I think maybe the whole thing was written, and the music and the songs and everything were written by Peter Dinklage's wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we saw trailers for that movie coming out, and then when it came out, nothing came of it, and it just quietly left. I don't feel there was a whole lot of people talking about it or anything like that when it came out.
Yeah, it really did come and go very, very quickly. So I don't know. I could have looked it up because I was just looking at something from my phone. But the guy who plays, I'm so bad that I can't remember his name. But the guy, not Cyrano, but the guy who Cyrano's trying to help.
Okay.
He is in the new. Why did I even bring it up? Because I can't remember any of the titles. Are you looking it up?
I was gonna look up Cyrano.
It's terrible. I'm terrible.
I have to go through Peter Dinklage's because I can't spell Cyrano. I'll get it. What were you gonna say about him?
He is in the new movie that we just saw a trailer for the other day.
Is it Ben Mendelsohn?
Kelvin Harrison Jr.
Kelvin
Chevalier.
Harrison?
He plays Chevalier. We saw the preview for that.
Yeah.
I think before we saw Creed 3.
That's
he plays
correct.
Chevalier. So he's doing a lot of these kind of. I don't know what century Cyrano takes place in. 18th, I presume, 1700, something like that. Yeah. So he's in a lot of these. I guess recently he's appearing in these sort of period pieces. Yeesh. Okay. Anyway, moving on. The other thing I was going to mention was I watched, I think this was also on Prime Video. There's a movie that's been on my radar for a little while now. It's called Dave Made a Maze. Have you heard of this movie?
I've only heard of it because, I've only heard of it through you, so I don't know anything about it. It looked cool.
Yeah, it did look cool, and it has an interesting kind of premise. It's a comedy where Dave actually builds a maze in his apartment. It's a labyrinth, to be specific, and he builds it out of cardboard. And again, the movie's not meant to be taken literally. Once you go inside this cardboard maze that he built, it's actually like this deep labyrinth that has all kinds of, which is impossible. But it's it's suspension of disbelief. It's not meant to be taken literally.
Is David Bowie in the labyrinth?
He is not in the labyrinth, sadly. I think it was made maybe after he passed away, but that would have been cool to have a cameo of him in his little codpiece. So I wanted to like this movie again. I want to like every movie that I watch pretty much, unless I know going into it that it's a terrible film and I'm just going to make fun of it. But the humor just mostly did not land for me at all. There's a lot of creativity involved, so I definitely, give props for that. There's a lot of creativity involved with the movie itself, and I think it's only about 90 minutes. But even at 90 minutes, I just felt like it just dragged. And probably because I wasn't really laughing at most of the stuff that was going on. So these are both on Prime Video. So if you have Prime Video and you want to check them out, go for it. But they just really, neither one was really my cup of tea. Neither Cyrano nor Dave Made a Maze. But they can't all be winners.
That's right.
What have you been watching?
Just one thing I want to call out. As I do, I try to keep up with the latest superhero movies, and I think a couple episodes ago I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and now I'm caught up with the DC side of things with watching Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Furry Gods.
Would have probably been better if it was Furry Gods. Fury of the Gods. And it's okay. It lost a lot of the fun, the heart, and some of the comedy from the first movie.
Yeah, you like the first film.
I think the first film is the best DCEU property.
Okay.
I like it better than Justice League, better than Batman v Superman.
Better than Justice League Snyder Cut?
Better than Justice League Snyder. Justice League Snyder Cut's okay. I have to think about it. I like it better than Wonder Woman. This is my favorite. Aquaman.
Yeah.
Any of the Suicide Squads. I'm just naming off movies now.
Yeah.
I really like Shazam a lot because I feel like it was more lighthearted, wasn't super dour, wasn't super self-serious, and it was just a fun movie, colorful movie to watch. This movie just feels like I just want to give David F. Sandberg a hug or something. It just felt like he was in a bad headspace when he was putting this movie together because it's not any of the interesting things that he brought to the other movies, and it just kind of it's okay, it's middling, which is really kind of really sad about it. It doesn't, yeah, I just wish it had more heart to it. I wish it had something to say, and it really doesn't. It's just kind of things happen and they kind of deal with that, where the first movie I feel like was like finding your family and like the power of working together a little bit, and this movie is just not that. It's kind of like, I think the theme's trying to be, I don't even know what the theme's trying to be. I know what kind of Billy wants, but yeah, I don't know. And it's probably not intelligible to anyone out there that's listening to me. And I don't think the bad guys are that great. Like, we have Helen Mirren, we have Lucy Liu, and I forgot the third, as this like trio of bad ladies that are going against Shazam, and they just never really felt like a big threat, both like physically intimidating to him or anything like that. It just wasn't. It just felt just okay. There could have been something more interesting done, and maybe it speaks more to the turmoil that is going on over at Warner Brothers because I believe they were originally going to have The Rock versus Shazam in this movie. And I think that was originally going to be the idea. This was going to, but then, not The Rock, Black Adam as The Rock, or that doesn't work that way. The Rock as Black Adam in this movie. And I think The Rock's like, no, I don't want to go against Shazam. I want to go against, I want to have my own movie, and I want to go against Superman and all that stuff. So that's what he did with Black Adam. So yeah, I don't know. It's not great. I would skip it unless you're a completist and wanted to watch it. Honestly, that's kind of where I fall on it.
Oh, okay.
And then it also sets up for next events like the first movie. And those things aren't going to come true anymore because, they change things up on the DC side of things. So, yeah.
All right. Shazam 2. Is any other movies?
Nope.
That's it. All right. So today we talked about a movie that was adapted from a Michael Crichton novel.
Yep.
What did you decide to pair that with? We've been dropping some hints, but what did you decide to pair that with?
I wanted to choose another Michael Crichton adaptation. My first inclination was to go with Sphere, which I've seen recently, and I still think you haven't seen, right? Or have you
I don't think I have.
Yeah, I don't think you've seen it. And Timeline. I wanted to try to find something from the 90s that we saw, and I couldn't find anything that looked good, so I decided to go back to the very first Michael Crichton adaptation, and that's 1971's Andromeda Strain. So we're going to watch another adaptation of a Michael Crichton novel, and that's Andromeda Strain. All right, guys. Well, that is everything Congo and more. Please let us know what you think about Congo. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment down below. We appreciate that. Please like, subscribe, share, do all that social media stuff. It does help, and we really do appreciate it. We like seeing those comments come in. You like seeing those YouTube subs come in. Those are always fun to see. And please stay tuned Wednesday when we find out if one of us has the Andromeda Strain, and we'll have to be locked up in a bunker or not. Yeah, I hope not either. Or, we'll just be drinking like alcohol, ether, or ethanol or whatever to get out of it. And we'll see you soon, guys. Have a good one.